Journaling for Well-Being and Peace, Stories, Practices, and Meditations. So I'm going to screen share with you. Here we go. Before we get into the tools of journaling and some of the tidbits, I want to talk to you about the different kinds of journals that there are. So when I was growing up, we didn't differentiate between a kind of journal we were keeping. But today, people will keep specific journals. They'll keep dream journals and food journals and gratitude journals and journals for their ideas and holiday vacation journals. But for my purposes, when I was a little girl, everything went into the journal. And if you want to differentiate because you have a kind of certain organizational system and like to categorize, that is perfectly fine. And for those of us that don't, and we put everything in one place, that's also fine too. There are no rules when it comes to journaling. And also there's different styles of journaling. For our purposes here today, we are talking about the written journal, but I've had people come to me when I was teaching at the big spas in California, and they'd say, I don't want to write. I want to do a video journal for my children and my grandchildren. And I said, great, because that's a kind of journal. And I said, let's create the topics around which you would like to do this. So again, another kind of style of journaling. You even see a lot of this on television today where people travel to different cultures and they talk about the food and the people and the wine. It's this type of journaling, travel journalism. So what are the tools of journaling? Generally, we think of pen, paper, computer, and often people come to me and they say, well, what's better? Should I write by hand or by computer? And neither is better. They're both great. When I was 7 years old, we didn't have computers. So I amassed trunks of writing by hand. And there's something about writing at 7 years old that was so kinesthetic for me. A lot of people think of writing and journaling and keeping diaries as being maybe a left brain activity because it's about the written word. But I found there was something that was going on between the head, the hand, and heart that put me in a great sense of peace, that connected me to my body. And it was kinesthetic. It was visceral. It wasn't intellectual. It was age 7 realism. And that's how I began. Today, I write on the computer. I journal on the computer. And the beauty of that is that I know the keyboard so well that I can close my eyes and it just takes off. And sometimes my thoughts are so fast that I can capture them more quickly than if I was writing by hand and paper. But both are good. I still use both. It's a personal preference. You can Twitter or text your journals. It doesn't matter. I was teaching a little boy years ago, and he was, 10, 11. He had just been taken out of school because he was going to be homeschooled. So he was being unschooled and kind of undoing the rigid rules that he had learned in school. And his parents came to me and said, would you work with him on writing? And I said, great. So we sat down, and I remember his first question was, do I need to keep the words between the lines? And I said, I don't care if you write on the walls. It doesn't matter. Let's just write. And he was so relieved. And then he said, well, what are we going to write on? And I said, well, what would you like to write on? And he said, I don't know. And I said, what do you love? And he said, superheroes. And his little pen took off. And he wrote a beautiful story, which his mother loved. But she said to me, oh no. She said, his grammar, he knows grammar. And I said to her, keep the creative and keep the grammatical separate. The editor, when you are initially spilling on the page, whether it's your joy, your inspiration, your grief, your celebration, whatever it is, you need that freedom without the editor or the critic or the evaluator talking. You can always clean up language later, but the rush and the joy of moving something creatively onto the page, whether it's your feelings, your thoughts, your ideas, that is what is most important. And that's why I love this quote. I'll read it to you for those of you who may be listening to this and not seeing the visual. It's by Rilke. It says, works of art are of an infinite solitude, and no means of approach is so useless as criticism. Only love can touch and hold them and be fair to them. Always trust yourself and your own feelings as opposed to argumentations, discussions, or introductions of that sort. If it turns out that you are wrong, then the natural growth of your inner life will eventually guide you to other insights. And this is so true. You will be guided in your work. As a writer, as an artist, as an entrepreneur, you will be guided. Initially, when you are beginning, when you are journaling, when you are writing, when you are creating, you must have the freedom to explore. So how do you begin? You write your truth. You spill onto the page and give full voice to whatever you want to give full voice to. Like I said, celebration, grief, sorrow, joy, happiness, the day's events, your ideas. You get it out of your body. You get to see it. You get to be your own witness. You can write from the present moment, from your breath, from the table, from the clock you're looking at, from the weather outside. You can write from the present to the past, from the future to the present. You can explore letter writing, and you just begin. Any tool that works for you, however you begin is you begin. It doesn't matter. Just begin. Thank you for stopping by today. This is Elizabeth Wells with elizabethwells.com. Please check out my book at amazon.com, barnesandnobles.com, or at my website. You can sign up for the Story Circle, my newsletter. I look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you for spending this time with me, and have a beautiful day. Okay, bye.